Hello everybody and welcome to Slay the Spire, playing as a Defect on Ascension 2. Let's see the map here. Guardian, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. 3 would include a short burst and the Burning Elite. Over here, we're either taking too many hallway fights or too early of a shop. One nice thing about here is if we're not strong enough to go this route at this point, we can come here, try again, get a couple extra campfires, or limp along a easy route. So I like the options we have over here. So we don't want to lose our gold. And random cards are sometimes risking a curse. So I'm just going to take the... Oh wow, that's I think about as good as it gets. It complements the relic we already had, the one we start off with. It complements a couple cards in our deck. So let's see, 18 minus 10 is 8, and then 12 minus 5 is 7, so this is better in multiple ways. Does 4 now, which means it evokes for 9, which means dual cast is worth 18 burst compared to the usual 16, which is already impressive. And that is lethal. Thank you, Data Disk. Ball Lightning. Let's go from best relic we could have asked for to best card we could have asked for. And we get a card remove on top of it. Wow. So what's better than an 11 card deck with Ball Lightning? A 10 card deck with Ball Lightning, of course. A little bit of a ho-hum first hand there, although we did have the dual cast, which I prefer to save for when we're going for lethal. Speaking of lethal, is this lethal? 20? No. So we'll block what we can. Alright, so we took 7 in our first fight, 1 in our second. Kind of feels like we're making progress. And there's lethal. Your powers were outclassed, is what I would say. Okay. Melter's not bad. 10 for 1, it's okay. Remove block can be really nice. Very infrequently, though. Steam Barrier, on the other hand, we added a really good strike. And the Steam Barrier is pretty good block at this point. The fact that it's 0 cost is gonna... I'm sure we'll run into situations here early in the game where it costing 0 is perfect. Speaking of perfect, this is 19 exactly. And the orbs do not count as attacks, so he's just softened up to strike level. So from 7 to 1 to 0, we are shaping up. And now we have a Frost Orb in the form of an attack. So I think it's safe to say we are prepared. Eek. Okay. Well, here's a good example, because we always want to cast the Ball Lightning. We would have been happy to take 3 here to be able to do so, but now we don't have to. Thank you, Steam Barrier. Okay, where does that leave us? 4... 16. That is lethal. Wow. Very strong. Very strong. Oh my gosh. We were already boasting strong single target. Now we're picking up the best AoE we have available, and we already have a nice cavalcade of orb pushers. So not only do we have the capability of AoE, we'll be able to make good on that threat. And look who has shown up to welcome us with our new toy. Alright, we didn't draw it, so not everybody's perfect. But we do want to get started like so. And once again, we'll have full block thanks to the Steam Barrier. So, yeah, definitely better than a Melter. It's always good to pick up a 0 cost card or 2 to help smooth out the early game hands. Alright, it's go time. It is go time. So let's see here. We do this. Where does that leave us? We're going to have 12 AoE. This is actually just 18 AoE. Alright. No chance of blocking anymore. Sorry, my brain was stuck. That was at 16 and 12 AoE. Seems like we could have done better, but this is fine also. In fact, we don't even have to wait for the orbs. Okay, that went very well. Hang on, my phone's ringing. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I gotta cut it here. Pardon the edit. Okay, pardon that edit there. I do work alarm response, so sometimes when the phone rings, I have to go. Oh dear. So anyways, the run started out really great. Data disk into the best card, more orb generation, AoE. Very, very, very solid start. So we don't want to make any mistakes here. The darkness would push our orbs forward more, which is helpful. However, we have so much orb pushing already that I don't think we get much value out of a darkness orb. So that ain't the play there. We already have a frost orb, so compile driver is often going to be drawing 2. Obviously, Electrodynamics will disrupt that balance, but then after that, we should always have a cold frost orb present. And then consume. At this point, we'd only be able to cast it once, but we'd get 2 more focus, so we'd have 2 orbs. If we think about it in terms of Electrodynamics, we'd have 3 orbs at, say, 4, or 2 orbs at, say, 6. So for the AoE purposes, it's worth more, but it's the same. But on an orb-by-orb basis, evoking them, we'll get more out of them. So I think that's the next natural step. We already have a little bit of scaling, but we could use some more. Probably anyways. It's probably one of those cards that maybe we don't play so often at first, but as the run goes on, we'll be very glad we have it. I was mentioning earlier how having a 0 cost smooths out some of our hands, and we did just pick up our second 2 cost, so I think the zap upgrade here makes a lot of sense. Anyways, moving along. I was just thinking how maybe we could have gone for more campfires because we got a number of good cards, but we didn't know that we were going to have a number of good cards, I don't think. Don't remember how it happened. Let's front load the lightning orbs. There we go. We do have a fire potion, so this will probably just be over here. Okay, let's do some quick math here. This would mean 12, 18, 38. Not good enough. This would cause 2 to evoke, which is 9 each. That's 18. Resultant 2, that's 26, 32, 52. That should be lethal. And then hit it with a potion. Good show. Easy peasy. Like it. And that's good too, because since we start off with skills generating orbs, we were very lucky to kind of get the 2 non-skill generating ones. So even though we even picked up a skill, that went really well. And Matryoshka, we actually get it on the floor before the chest. So that kind of just goes in line with how perfect this run has been thus far. It's going to spoil me. Static discharge would be another way to push some orbs through. But that kind of depends on us getting hit, and I think we've stabilized on that for now. So I think compile driver. I forget who, it was either Jorbs or Baylor, but they were saying that, you know, the 3 common attacks you want to get your hands on are the 3 we have picked up. So let's see what Matryoshka brings us. Preserved Insect. Holy crap, this really is the perfect run. We're taking on a hallway of elites, where the burning elite is all that's left, and now they're going to be 25% weaker. and teeny tiny to boot, and it's the AoE one, which we are well equipped for. And look at this, we get Electrodynamics in our opening hand, and we can even do this for 36 AoE, which is lethal. It would have been another 8 after 4. Wow. Nutty. And look at that, we got Sundial and Happy Flower, so we're not going to have any energy issues, and we've got the 2s and the 0s, so probably very smooth. Is it so smooth that we take Asunder? 3 costs, refunds if lethal, but even that doesn't matter too much. Because we have the Consume, I don't think we take the Sunder. The Consume basically makes the ball lightning hit comparably, right? Because let's take a look at this. Let's say we actually spend an upgrade on this, which we ought to if we're going to buy it. That's 32, right? So that's a little over 10 per energy. Well, even without our data disk, this is 10 for 1 energy. Only better because the lightning orb sticks around and does 3 every turn, or evokes and does even more. But we have a data disk, we have focus, so I don't think Sunder fits. It'll be a cumbersome way of doing what we can already do. In terms of things like duplication potion, which we just had one of, liquid memories, even echo form, the Sunder might shine a little bit there. Another card removal. Don't mind if I do. Gladly take those strikes out. Oh my gosh. Matryoshka was picked up here. Here. Within 4 floors, we get full value out of it. And we got Gremlin Horn. So even more energy and card draw. Like, I'm actually starting to get offended at how well this run is going. Why can't all my runs be this good? This is like a pity run. And we have a hidden store when we do have a lot of gold wrapped. Oh no. Orrery? We can afford Orrery and another card remove. Alright. Let me put my thinking cap on here. Because it's going to have to... Deck's evolving so rapidly we have to actually try and imagine what it looks like. Alright, Cool-Headed is more orb pushing. Balances Frost and Lightning, which sort of makes up for our semi-lackluster blocking capabilities. So I do like that. Probably go for that. We're going to look at all of them before we take any of them. Self-repair. If we can keep our mitigation where we're at, we won't need it. And the only fight that we know of we have left this turn is the boss. And since this is not Ascension 5 or higher, we're going to heal full anyway. So this will just get in the way of that fight. Maybe more useful later. Streamline is tantalizing. We do have a relatively small deck. So we'll come back to that. Creative AI and Echo Form. I also, just as a side note, do not want to sleep on recursion. And here's why. We have Consume already, right? We have a data disk. So there is going to be times where we have 3 focus. And what that means is that a Frost Orb will evoke for 8. So this can cost 0 when it's upgraded. But even if it's not upgraded, 1 to do 8 block is really good. 0 to do 8 block is even better. So recursion can be a form of block if your Frost Orb game is on point. So I just want to point that out. Because I had a game recently where I got that relic that gives you a Dark Orb, and I didn't have any Dark Orb generation in the deck. So I actually grabbed a recursion. And then I felt silly after I did it, but then I was noticing, hey, wait a minute. My Frost Orbs are pretty nifty here, and this is like free block. So, I mean, obviously that's more when you have card draw and focus, which we kind of have. Echo Form, we didn't take the Sunder, so we don't really have anything worth echoing. We don't want to cast Consume twice, Electrodynamics, okay if the Echo form gets in play first and then we push out extra orbs, maybe. Dual cast can be maybe a little spicy, a little extra draw. But for the most part, we don't have anything worth spending the 3 energy on up front. And I guess we could say the same about Creative AI. We do have a small deck, and being required to spend energy every turn on other powers. I mean, we could find, defrag, and I think it's called capacitor, the one that gives you the extra orbs. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Recursion's getting pushed again. Interesting. Consume, we already only want to cast the one we have once. Go for the eyes. That would help with our survivability. Alright, so let's go back through this. We'll take the coal-headed because it gives us another frost orb and can be card draw. We can upgrade that at our next campfire, probably. Maybe skip the self-repair. Yeah, these would be better if they had upgrades. And then go for the eyes. So where does that leave us? We have 1 power, which leaves us with a 15-card deck. We'll soon upgrade this. We'll have 2 cards that draw 2. This will make this draw 2 more consistently now, so we can just treat both of these as draw 2 once we hit the campfire. Or maybe we put the campfire on this. It's hard to say. We could also use campfires here and here. Not as important, I don't think. These 2 are pretty important. So now, do we feel Creative AI or Echo Form fits? Did want to point out that we now have a 3rd 0-cost card, 1 per hand, which is right on par with kind of like the energy that we're capable of generating per card. It's almost like we're at 4 energy. It's not quite a solid 4 energy. And of course, once we get AoEing, everything might just die at the same time, so we might not get the Gremlin Horn value so cleanly as we'd like. Dang, that Matryoshka was nuts. I'm used to runs ending with like the relic bar out to here. We're halfway there, and we're not even finished with the first act. That's crazy to me. Yep, I think we skip on the rest of these. It is so, like, bonkers, and I always like to make either one of these work, actually. I like both of them. But we probably benefit from being able to spend that 3 energy on something else and keep our orbs moving. Alright, so let's get that card removed before we leave. Don't want to forget that. So now, actually, the deck is thinner. Okay, I once fumbled that little UI interaction. You can leave the reward screen. That's why it was bringing us back to the orrery before. Okay. Moving on. I think we can take the risk. So yeah, good question. Cool-headed or go for the eyes? Cool-headed would draw... Cool-headed would... The Guardian is attacking every single turn. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. He's not attacking every single turn. It's weird because they both play into our survivability. And we have the boot, so upgrading this just for the damage, saying, oh, like if he's not attacking, then we don't need the second turn. Because his AI in the first form is he starts off armoring, then he attacks, then he armors, and then he debuffs or something like that. In second form, yeah, it's attack, attack. And if we were to attack him... And then this one draws us around to, like, say, other orb generators, which can evoke our frost orbs and get us free block and stuff. So, because we have, what, 5 block cards and then 2 frost orb generations among 15 cards, 14 cards, a couple cards that draw 2, only 3 energy, sometimes 4, sometimes even 5. but they're both starting on 0, so we can't count on them. No ads, so we can't count on Gremlin Horn. The reason why I'm taking this so seriously is because usually at the start of a new act, it's a little while before you hit another campfire. So I think since we're strong AoE, this isn't going to come into play as much in the early second act. So I'm going to go ahead and do the cool-headed, I think. I mean, if nothing else, the added card draw does get us to the go for the eyes somewhat more frequently. Alright, lots of opportunities to set up here. We have 3 orb generations and a dual cast, so let's just go for it. Max damage there, boom, boom. He's already setting up for his next form. Sweet. Okay. So we're going to take 1 damage here. And that's fine. Mainly the Electrodynamics is about getting it out of the deck. And I would say we could push the orb, but I think we're out of orb pushing. No, we're not. Okay, good. So let us consume, and then cool-headed, which evokes a frost orb. So now we're up to 13. And we can freely do this because we also have the steam barrier. Well, we don't actually need to, but I'll decay this to save the 1 damage. I don't think this fight's going to last that many turns. That many passes of the deck, I should say. Alright. Ball Lightning evokes an orb. So now we're at 13 block. Or we could make it 24 block, which is excessive. But maybe we need to. Nope. This gives us all the block we need, which means now we can strike. We don't need a dual cast. We could force the transition, but there's no need to. I'd rather keep the orbs. We could do the 12 now and then whatever we have to next turn as well. Should help make the go for the eyes line up better. Or maybe not, because we're shuffling now. We could just draw it now, especially since we have this going on here. Oh, there it is. Okay, and he's not even attacking. That's fine. It costs 0. So we'll do this to draw. To draw. I won't ball lightning here. Let's save evoking the orb for when we actually need the block. I think that's the only thing awkward about this fight is that we do have 2 frost and 2. Alright, so we can do this, and then this, and that's all we need to do. Which is a little unfortunate because that leaves us a little exposed next turn. Or not, because we are shuffling the deck. So it's not like that hand dictates the next. That's going to hurt, and that's going to hurt. But that's okay, we're doing quite well. Okay, he wants to do 20 to us. We have almost enough block just here and here. So I'll go ahead and do this, and this, and I miscalculated. So we are actually going to take a little bit of damage here. But the fight's almost over, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay. Compile driver. Cool-headed. Dual cast. Got him. Potion of capacity. I don't know why I thought that said opacity. Seek would help us find Electrodynamics, one of our card draws. Go for the eyes, whatever we need. Consume. They'd probably be searching for these two cards because these are our two setup cards, basically. But you never know. I think that's a fine addition to our deck. And it exhausts, which keeps our deck size nice and small. Okay. Is our block so good that we can afford Philosopher's Stone? I'm thinking no. And we are already at an upgrade dilemma, and I mentioned a couple cards that would be nice to upgrade. So I was already planning on spending Act 2 steering into campfires, because we have a solid deck as it is, good assortment of relics. So I want to favor campfires in Act 2. So I don't think it's the fusion hammer. As for potions, we haven't needed to use them. In fact, you know what? It only just now occurred to me. The second time Consume came around, we could have just drank that and had more orbs going on. Maybe would have expedited the fight. But if we take Sozu, we have two of them, so we could save them for later fights. You know, Shield and Sword and Heart, for example. As soon as we find an AoE that we can't handle. But we're not going to find an AoE that we can't handle because we have Electrodynamics and Seek. So I'm just going to go with the Sozu. And that is going to do it for Act 1. So thank you guys for joining me. Pardon the edit. I appreciate your patience with me there. Please leave any comments you have down below regarding my relic choice or anything else you saw that you wanted to comment on. I always love hearing from you guys. And I'll see you in the next act. Take care.